Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here, and day late, dollars short with the Backlash WrestleMania Backlash review for the 16th of May 2021. A lot of people like this show. There were things to like on the show as a whole, though. I think the standard for pro wrestling has fallen greatly if this is considered a good show. So much of it didn't move stories forward. It was just wrestling for the sake of wrestling, which is fine if that's what you're into, but if you're not, if you expect stories to move forward, this is a reasonably disappointing show. Obviously, they do the kickoff show at which there is a match, non-title U.S. Championship match. Ricochet, who ends up fighting Sheamus again on Raw in a non-title match here. Ricochet and Sheamus have a decent enough pre-show match, although I hate the concept for pre-show because if it's on the show and it's a wrestling match and there are people watching, it's part of the show. It's not a pre-show. Anyway, Ricochet rocks Sheamus with a dropkick at the bell, takes an advantage, and then Sheamus gets him off the clothesline. Sheamus stomps him and gives him the opportunity to slow the pace down. Ricochet fights back. Sheamus tries to pull Ricochet out of the corner, but he holds on for a bit. Ricochet then hits a springboard clothesline and a standing shooting star press and an Asai moonsault in quick succession for a near fall. Too many spots too early, and it's kind of goofy because it's the opening match and we've already wasted some really awesome moves. Anyway, Sheamus tries to pick up Ricochet, but Ricochet rolls through. Sheamus recovers and hits Ricochet with a knee to the face. Ricochet regains control with a backstabber, follows up with a 450 springboard for another near fall. Ricochet misses a second 450 splash, avoids a brogue kick in the process, rolls Sheamus up for another near fall. Sheamus and hits a brogue kick for the win. Post match, Sheamus puts his hat and jacket back on, starts talking about issuing an open challenge to anyone. Ricochet jumps him, and the match is over, but the fight continues. Batista narrates the opening for the video, tie-in with the new Army of Darkness movie, including zombies. Triple threat match for the Women's Championship. Rhea Ripley defeating Asuka and Charlotte Flair in just under 15 and a half minutes. Decent enough match, although they did a little too much. They do special ring introductions with everybody getting an introduction, all three standing in the ring and trying to make it look special. Flair rolls out to the floor, but her opponents go after her. Ripley rolls up Flair for the near fall. Asuka breaks up the pin attempt. Flair ends up on the apron. Asuka knocks her off with the hip attack, and then back and forth between Ripley and Asuka. Flair comes back in and pulls Asuka out of the ring. Flair takes over on Ripley for a bit and ends up on the apron with Asuka, who pulls her off this time. So basically, it's a typical three-way match with things going back and forth as long as they possibly can. Ripley then knocks Flair off the apron. Asuka climbs the turnbuckles, but then Ripley knocks her off too. Ripley gets sent to the floor, and Flair hits a boot to the face for a near fall. Asuka recovers, catches Flair in an armbar. Flair breaks free. Asuka locks it in, and Ripley jumps in to break up the submission. Flair fights and regains control. Flair is firmly in control until Ripley starts running wild. Series of clotheslines and knees. Follows up with a Northern Lights suplex. Asuka breaks up the pin attempt, and then Asuka gives Flair two German suplexes and hits the hip attack on Ripley. In the corner, Asuka then hits Flair, and Ripley hits a series of kicks. Follows up with a sliding knee on Flair for a near fall. Asuka then caught Ripley with a missile dropkick. Ripley then pulls Asuka off the apron. Flair follows up with a moonsault to the floor. Beautiful move, well done, but they've already done too much in the match for my liking. Asuka gets thrown back in the ring. Ripley cuts Flair off. An attempted superplex is blocked. Wire superplex is part of every match now, it seems. Asuka then joins Ripley and gives Flair a double superplex. Everybody trades shots in the middle of the ring. Ripley catches Flair and Asuka with some headbutts along the middle. Flair eventually chop blocks both of her opponents and hits the natural selection for a near fall. This is probably the best Flair's looked in at least a year and a half in terms of being in the ring. She's reinvigorated for sure. Flair attempts a moonsault on Asuka and Ripley, but they both move out of the way. Ripley tries to give Asuka a riptide, but Flair makes the save. Flair ends up on the apron yet again. The apron spots are too much. Anyway, Asuka charges Flair on the apron. Flair catches her with a boot. Ripley hits a riptide on Asuka for the win. Ripley makes fun of Flair post-match. We go to the back. John Morrison promises to talk to the Lumberjacks to make sure Damian Priest falls into their trap. Miz doesn't think Morrison knows what the trap is. They recap Ziggler and Rude attacking Dominic Mysterio on the kickoff show, which I didn't see because I only tuned in enough to see the match and was busy doing other work during the rest of the kickoff show. Cole noted that Mysterio's dream of winning the tag team titles might not happen. The Mysterios would be the first ever father and son tag team to win the WWF/WWE Tag Team Championships. Dominic has difficulty standing because of his injury. Ray tells Dominic he can't compete tonight and to stay in the back. Dominic and Ray actually do win the titles over Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode to win the SmackDown Tag Team titles in 17 minutes. Match goes way too long, does tell a good story, but could have easily been done in 10 minutes, maybe even 12, but it went at least 5 to 7 minutes too long. Michael Cole points out that Ray's wife and daughter are watching on a watch-along. First time we've heard of Aaliyah Mysterio in a good bit. Ray decided to compete in the match without his son. The champions obviously gain an early advantage. Ray and Ziggler go to the floor. Ray then hits a sliding splash through the ropes and through Rude's legs to the floor on Ziggler. Ray's in control and gives Rude a senton off the apron. Heels take over, slow the pace down. Ray fights back, and Ray climbs the top rope. Ziggler knocks him off. Injured knee thanks to a tree of woe on Ray. Rude then works over Ray's knee. Referee asks Ray if he wants to quit, but he continues to fight back. Assisted Famouser by the heels for a near fall here. Rude then throws Ray under the bottom rope. Ziggler catches him with a super kick, and Ray has difficulty but does make it back into the ring before the countout happens. They go for a double suplex. Ray reverses that. Ray fights back and sends Ziggler into the ring post on the outside. Dominic Mysterio is limping down to the ring. But anyway, Dominic begs to get tagged in. Ray refuses, and then Ziggler hits the zigzag for near fall. Heels isolate Ray again on the side of the ring. Rude climbs to the top rope. Ray on his shoulders. Ray hits a bulldog off the top rope. Nice hope spot, but at the same time they've done too much, and Ray looks superhuman at over 40 years old. Ray crawls to the corner, hesitates to tag Dominic. Ray catches Rude with a drop kick and fall in the corner. Dominic then tags himself in, briefly goes nuts. Cut off by the champions. Rude catches Dominic with a spinebuster, takes over, and the heels hit an assisted neckbreaker for a near fall. Ziggler then sets up a super kick, but Dominic hits a super kick first. Ray then gets a hot tag and briefly goes nuts. Rude then comes up with a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker for a close near fall. Ray fights back, hits a 619 on Rude. Ray tags Dominic, and Dominic takes out Ziggler with a sunset flip powerbomb into the barricade. Ouch. Dominic then hits a frog splash on Rude for the win. Yay! The Mysterios are, for the first ever, father-son tag team champions in WWE/WWF history. Anyway, so post-match, Kayla Braxton interviews the Mysterios. They celebrate, and they're happy and all that good stuff. Commercial airs for the Army of Darkness movie starring Batista. In the back, Morrison approaches the Lumberjacks' room. He knocks on the door. Zombies walk out, and yes, I did just say zombies. Jimmy Uso enters Roman Reigns' dressing room. Jimmy gets in Jay's face and notes that Reigns' locker room is better than his. Reigns then shows up and approaches them. Jimmy just wanted to wish Reigns luck in his match later tonight. Morrison tries to tell The Miz that there are, in fact, zombies. Miz doesn't believe him, and a bunch of zombies walk by just to add some extra useless haha to the segment. Anyway, they show a tweet from Batista, said that he couldn't be there, but in fact, his friends, the zombies, would be. Lumberjack zombie match. Damian Priest defeats The Miz in 7 minutes. This was horrible. This is a waste of Damian Priest. This is probably worst match of the last 5 years, if not longer. Zombies drag the match down and take away from the whole thing. Basically, this is a bad C-level movie script of the zombie genre. Smoke fills the arena. Zombies come from where the crowd would be. Miz and Morrison try to run away, but they can't get anywhere. Commentators do run away. Zombies come out from under the commentary table. Focus of the match isn't on the match at all. It's on the zombies. Miz takes over with a boot to the face. Miz falls to the floor. He goes under the ring to get away from the zombies, of course. Priest takes advantage and scores a near fall. Hits a spinning heel kick off the top rope for a near fall of his own. Miz avoids the kick and locks on the figure 4. Zombies pull Miz and Priest to the floor. Miz and Priest then work together to fight off the zombies. And then Priest nails a zombie with a kick to the head. Miz tries to high-five Priest for helping him with the zombies, but Priest returns that favor with a Falcon Arrow for a near fall. Morrison runs away, but Priest knocks him off the apron. Miz then hits a running knee on Priest for a near fall. Why Priest is in this mess, who knows? Morrison takes out the zombies with a dive. Zombies drag him off to the other side of the barricade. Priest catches the Miz with the hit the lights for the win. Post-match, the zombies climb into the ring and crawled all over the Miz. The idea, apparently, that the zombies ate the Miz. And then Jey Uso approached Jimmy Uso in the back. Jay's furious with Jimmy for the way he talked to their cousin and the tribal chief Roman Reigns. Jimmy got in Jay's face and makes fun of him. SmackDown Women's Championship. Bianca Belair defeats Bayley to win the title in 16 minutes. Match goes a little long, but this was a good match, and Bayley is probably one of the best talents in the WWE, if not the world of women's wrestling, period. Maybe even varying into the men's at this point. Belair has an early advantage. Catches Bayley with a drop kick. Belair chases Bayley all around ringside. Hits a shoulder tackle at midpoint. And Belair hits a hamstring splash for near fall. Bayley grabs Belair's earring and slows the pace down with a chinlock of doom. Bayley catches Belair with a back suplex for a near fall. Belair fights to the back and hits a suplex. Bayley recovers using an inside cradle for a near fall of her own. They fight around ringside. Bayley regains control and drops Belair on the steps. Belair kicks out and sends Bayley to the floor. Bayley mocks Belair and laughs in her face. This is just goofy at this point. Anyway, Belair fires up, runs wild, misses a charge in the corner. Bayley regains control. And then Belair hits a spinebuster for another near fall. Bayley recovers, hits an elbow for a near fall, and then sends her opponent into the ring post on the outside of the ring. Bayley misses a dive, and Belair drives her into the ring apron. Cheating near falls by Bayley, and referee catches her cheating finally. Bayley rakes the eyes, regaining control. Does a ripcord using Bianca Belair's hair. Then she hits the Bayley to belly for a near fall. Bayley gets frustrated at this. Tries the rose plant, but Belair reverses it and used her hair in the victory and gets the win. Kevin Patrick interviews MVP. He notes that Strowman turned down his offer and promised Bobby Lashley would retain the championship tonight. Triple threat match for the Championship. 14-11 as Bobby Lashley with MVP defeats Drew McIntyre and Braun Strowman to retain the title. I assume they're going through to SummerSlam with this. Don't really know, but that's the only thing that makes sense at this point. It's a fine triple threat match if you like these. I hate them, so I have a bit of a bias. Strowman has an early advantage, throwing his opponents around like they're nothing. Lashley and McIntyre work together. They do double suplex Strowman at one point. McIntyre takes over and hits a crossbody on Lashley, scoring a near fall. Strowman then manages to keep going. Lashley breaks up the pin attempt. Lashley slams Strowman for another near fall. Strowman then hits Lashley with steps to gain control. McIntyre hits Claymore kick on Strowman, which sends him over the barricade. Lashley gives McIntyre a suplex on the ramp, regains control, and then sends Lashley into the lighting boards near the ramp. And then it explodes with sparks because we're supposed to believe that WWE superstars can withstand electrocution. Grace points out that Lashley, in fact, disappears after this. Strowman attacks McIntyre, takes control of the match for a little while. He tosses McIntyre back in the ring, hits a senton for near fall. Guy doing a senton that big, stupid, but anyway, that's what they do. Strowman misses a charge in the corner. McIntyre hits Michinoku driver for a close near fall. Strowman then hits McIntyre into kind of brawling on the outside. McIntyre counters with a suplex. McIntyre tries the Claymore kick. Strowman catches him with a powerbomb and powerbombs him into the announce table for his trouble. Strowman goes for the running power slam. McIntyre slips off his back and McIntyre hits a Claymore kick finally. McIntyre had the match won. Lashley returns, throws McIntyre out of the ring, and spears Strowman for the win. I guess this makes sense if we're going to SummerSlam, finally getting the payoff with McIntyre and Lashley. Anyway, main event time. Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman defeats Cesaro. 27 and a half minutes. To me, this went too long. Match was really good. Hard-hitting match all the way around. I think they could have done more with it. But anyway, behind the curtain, Roman Reigns is preparing to enter. He tells Jey Uso to stay in the back. He notes that he's always in Reigns' corner, and then basically says, what if, implying that Reigns might lose. He basically tells Jey to go find his brother. They basically fight over everything, including something as simple as lockup. Reigns slows the pace of the match down with a headlock, but Cesaro breaks free. Reigns hits shoulder tackle for a 1 count, and then they continue working the head. Cesaro catches Reigns with a shoulder tackle for 1 count of his own. Reigns becomes frustrated, rolls out of the ring, breaking the momentum of the match. Good psychology here, as it's an old school basic story. Reigns tosses Cesaro to the floor, and Cesaro lands on his arm. Reigns works over the arm for what ends up being the remainder of the match, and slams him into the announce table. Reigns slows the pace again with a headlock, and Cesaro tries a suplex, but Reigns reverses it for his own benefit. Reigns goes back to being basic, flying clothesline for a 1 count. Love the 1 counts here because it'll mean more when there's 2.5 counts, rather than the Japanese style of everybody kicks out of everybody's finish. Reigns goes back to the chin lock. Cesaro tries to fight back. Reigns hits a Samoan drop for near fall. Cesaro avoids Superman punch. Hits pop-up uppercut. Uppercuts are a big thing throughout the remainder of the match. Cesaro follows up with a series of uppercuts in the corner and a big boot for near fall. Cesaro targets Reigns' leg and locks on the sharpshooter. Reigns breaks the hold eventually. Cesaro hits a plancha to the floor. Surprising because he had injured his arm earlier on other attempted dives. Follows up with a running uppercut at ringside, and Cesaro then hits a flying cross body into the ring for the near fall. Reigns fights back and works hard over the arm. Follows up with a dive, and Cesaro briefly fights back. Reigns then goes back to work on the arm. Reigns finally is in control. He backs Cesaro into the corner and catches him with a big boot. Reigns then makes fun of Cesaro and stomps him in to oblivion. Cesaro fights back with uppercuts and a clothesline. Cesaro then nails Reigns, trade shots in the middle. Cesaro then gives Reigns a superplex for a near fall. Cesaro attempts the sharpshooter, but Reigns fights back. Cesaro hits a double foot stomp. Looks like he's going to win. Can't hook the neutralizer because his arm gives out. Cesaro goes for the springboard uppercut. Reigns hits the Superman punch for the near fall. Not a fan of Reigns' finish not working, but it is what it is. Reigns goes for the spear. Cesaro hits an uppercut. Cesaro attempts a pop-up uppercut. Arm gives out a second time. Reigns locks in the guillotine submission. Cesaro breaks free. Cesaro then locks on the sharpshooter. Going back there, transition into crossface. Reigns breaks free of that. Reigns hits Cesaro with a series of hard shots and a sit-out powerbomb for a close near fall. Cesaro tries to fight back. Reigns gets the guillotine back again. Cesaro lifts Reigns up, almost breaks free. Reigns breaks into eventually tightening the hold, and eventually Cesaro passes out. Post-match, Jey Uso runs out, congratulates Reigns for the win. Reigns then whispers in Jey's ear, and Jey goes and super kicks Cesaro and beats him up. Suddenly, Seth Rollins' music hits. He walks down to the ring. Reigns and Rollins go nose to nose, and then Seth Rollins smiles and attacks Cesaro. Rollins threw Cesaro out of the ring, and they beat him up at ringside. Rollins attacks Cesaro with a chair and targets the injured arm. He traps Cesaro's arm in the chair and slams it against the ring post. He hits a curve stomp and celebrates to end the show. Overall, one of the better matches I've ever seen Reigns have. Overall, a great match for Cesaro. We'll be back with more right after this.